Welcome to Careers with STEM Online, and I'd like to welcome Rebecca Vivian from the CSER team. Rebecca is a CSER Group Research Co-Facilitator of E-Learning Community and Practice at the University of Adelaide. Thanks for joining us today, Rebecca.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here and to be able to speak to you about online learning and how teachers can support students in the transition to the online space. So in our CSER group team, we have project officers across the country running face-to-face professional learning, but also online professional learning. So what we've been doing is having conversations around how we can support teachers to transition to the online space and how we can help them use the tools that are available to be able to, run learning activities, to engage with their students, to support students to engage with each other. And we're really thinking about how we can help in that space. So yeah, I put together a little bit of a slide deck around tools and strategies that teachers can use to engage with their students and facilitate learning. So some of these we use as a team. So in my own work in research, we're often collaborating online in order to scale our projects. So we work with people interstate, overseas, as well as our project officers across Australia in terms of sharing resources, communicating. And so some of these tools that I've put in there, we use quite a lot in order to think about how we can facilitate those discussions. So I'll go through them if that's okay, and we can have a look at some of the tools that we've suggested here.
That sounds great. And you use these for digital technologies, Beck, but can teachers use it for other areas of teaching as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So it could be that students use them with their teachers, but some of these tools are really great in order of facilitating communication between staff as well as managing projects. So, you're moving from the staff room to perhaps working at home or working across schools. So some of these tools, are great for supporting those conversations, project management, as well as just building camaraderie. So even just supporting networks in terms of thinking about how we're all transitioning online together. I think it's a really important time to keep those conversations and networks happening so that people don't feel alone.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So I was so excited to see this, all of these resources together in one place. So yeah, if you could take us through just some of those, that would be terrific. And we'll pop the URL up for teachers as well so that they can take a look through the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. So let's have a look. I thought we could just focus on some of the tools around online active and collaborative learning. So, when we're thinking about how do we still engage with one another, how do we share, brainstorm ideas, how do we allow students to share their opinions and resources and ideas, these might be some useful tools that you could use in your classroom or with your staff.
Brilliant.
So the first one I'd like to share is Padlet. This is a fantastic tool. I've used it with team members, I've used it with students, I've used it with workshops. So if you're thinking about, perhaps activities where you had post-it notes, everyone brainstorming ideas and sticking them on post-it notes, or perhaps using big butcher's paper to note out ideas, or even the whiteboard, you could use something like Padlet to emulate that kind of activity. So Padlet is a free tool. There's a free option or a paid option. What you can do is use it as a way to brainstorm and organise ideas. You can use it for topic discussions, for sharing links and resources and photos, or even something like a Q&A. So if you're running a webinar, you could have it as a Q&A tool on the side.
Oh, I love that, for getting student ideas straight into everywhere, and students can all use it all at once.
Yeah, so all you need to do is start by creating a Padlet board. And it's like a blank canvas, and all people need to do is receive the URL that you provide, and then they double click on the space and they can start adding little post-it notes that then can get shifted around. So you can have different types of Padlet boards, which I've just put on there, but you can generally shift them around. Users can comment on each other's posts and then like or star it, so you can kind of get that sense of people upvoting or supporting perhaps an idea. And it's a really great way to curate ideas, and it can be shared out after your meeting. So it could be something that, continues after a session, or a resource that you would like to share out more widely.
Fantastic.
Well,
and the next one I think you're using already, aren't you? Google Slides.
Yeah. So Google Slides, we use this all the time in terms of sharing resources, perhaps presenting work, but also we find it as a really great resource for generating ideas. So you can invite, a whole bunch of people, a whole class or a whole staff team to a Google slide deck, and then you're able to work on them collaboratively. So it might be that you have a topic and then you're asking people to work on particular slides, or perhaps you could be, have different slides for different topics and everyone gets to contribute an idea to each slide. The brilliant part about it is users can also add a comment on a slide. So it might be that you have a particular question on a slide deck, and then people can reply to those as well. So it's a really great one to be able to support the online synchronous communication, but also offline communication. So there I've just put some tips around how you can comment and collaborate within the slide decks.
Fantastic.
So the next one I'd like to look at is Piazza. So this is something that we've used with university students, but I could see it working with high school students or even staff teams. So Piazza is a free teamwork discussion board, or it could be used for collaborative work, or even a Q&A platform. So if you think of something like a traditional discussion board, it's kind of like that, but it also has this element where people can create a wiki together. So it's got this little collaborative element there where, you and I could be working together to write up a report. And the beauty of it is that the instructor view allows you to go through the time lapse of that discussion, so you can actually see the wiki evolve and the way that team members are contributing to that final product.
I love that for group work. You can see how if you wanted to kind of get a group together, still get students working together, but sort of stay in touch with it yourself. I think that's a really great way to do that.
Yeah, so in computer science, you might pose a problem where they have to come up with a solution and they have to all work together to create that single solution. We've seen it work in other STEM fields where perhaps there's a science topic and they have to write an information page about a particular health condition. And so all the students are working together. And within that space, the beauty of it is there's also a discussion forum component underneath that single wiki space. So what happens is we encourage students to actually have their collaborative discussions there. So rather than using the telephone or some other tool, we try and encourage them to problem solve and talk about the topic there, so that the instructor can sort of keep an eye on the discussion and facilitate and help when it's needed.
Fantastic.
So another one we have, this is within, this is an online tool. It is a paid program, but it might be something that teachers and schools want to have a look at. But I guess it's really just thinking about what are some other tools that can support collaborative learning, as well as, those knowledge checks. You want to see how your students are going. So H5P provides interactive solutions that instructors can create in terms of quizzes, essay marking, things like drag and drop or find the hotspot. But you could easily replicate some of these using things like Google Forms, where you might have, a quiz or a particular image and you're asking students to write a response or choose the correct answer. So there's different ways, but in terms of that, just making sure students understand the content, there are some tools out there that are available.
Yeah, sometimes you want something as simple as just a Q&A that students can enter their info into, isn't it? So that's great to see something with so much interactivity and great games. I was looking at the Kahoots as well, which is really fun for doing games as well, and it's so cool to see that kind of interactivity. Word searches, just in terms of just getting something that students can get their teeth into.
Yeah, and you can use these in a flipped model of learning. So, you might be traditionally presenting to a class around a topic, but there are ways when it's online in that you could record a concept video or you might find a really great video on YouTube and then integrate that and have students watch that, and then they could respond using these discussion forums, wikis, or quizzes and interactive spaces.
Fantastic.
So the next couple, I guess I could just cover, because I think they do work really well for student teamwork, is some project management tools. So there's a couple of tools that are really good for this. So Trello and Asana, they're free to enroll in and try, but they're really good for managing projects. And when we think, high school students perhaps doing a teamwork assignment, how can they do that in the online space? And so these kinds of tools can help them organise, the tasks that they'd like to achieve, who's going to be doing what, and in what perhaps timeline and time frame. It could also be good to use for staff teams. So you might be breaking down different tasks that need to be done online, and the beauty of it is you can actually comment and ask questions within these spaces, so that they're allowing for that collaborative teamwork within those.
Brilliant. And I know it's owned by Atlassian now. So, these are the very same tools that they'll be using if they go into technology careers and other kind of careers as well. So what a great way to prepare them for the future workforce.
Yeah. I think probably building on, I guess, like in terms of when things are transitioning online, really thinking about, well, how can you check on your students? How can you make sure that they're engaging with what you're sending them? Some tips could be monitoring, using the analytics that are available to you, whether they be on these tools and dashboards that are suggested here or within your learning management system. You can also use things like Bitly in order to, if you create a little link, you can send that out to your students. You can see how many students have clicked on that link, just to get a sense of who's engaging. But platforms like Piazza and YouTube, they all have the analytics behind them. So you can sort of see how far students are getting through content and where they're perhaps, sort of viewing the content or getting stuck as well.
Yeah, that kind of evaluation and assessment and measuring that is going to be so important. So it's so great that these tools have that. And I know the CSER team have done an awful lot with that kind of assessment and learning as well. So is there, what would you say, and I know we're going to give these teachers the slides as well, what would you say that you would sort of start with in getting to learning this? Where do you think you would suggest going to first, Beck?
Yeah, so probably first I would think about, what is your purpose? Like, what is it you're trying to achieve or wanting to do? So if you go back to the start, when you access these slides, I've just put there a starting slide of what's your need. So really thinking, is it that you want to start with facilitating, a team class communication space? Is it that you need some support around project management? Or is it that you want to sort of embed some collaborative learning activities? So really start with the purpose and the why. And then from there, sort of just selecting, perhaps one tool or a couple of tools that, complement each other in order to facilitate those activities. So probably, you want your central class management place, thinking about how you can connect with students offline. It might be a discussion forum, could be Piazza, or something like Slack, which is a little bit more casual, but it all depends on your school, of course. So perhaps thinking about how you'll communicate with students and your staff members ongoing. And then from there, you might trial something a little bit more fun and collaborative, building on what you're doing in the classroom and then taking that online. So I think sort of start small and build from there. But as long as you've got the foundation, you're coming back to what's your purpose, not so much what technology, but what's the goal of what you're trying to do here.
Brilliant. And I know the CSER team are doing a lot. You've got a lot of fantastic resources in the digital technology space. Where can teachers go to find out more about the CSER team, maybe connect with some of the CSER people in their state and find other tools to help them, particularly in digital technologies education?
Yeah, so here we've got, if you go to caesarmoocs.adelaide.edu.au, that's where our program platform is. We have free online courses that teachers can do self-paced at their own convenience. These will be running ongoing. You can request some support through that website. We also, with our online courses, use WordPress as a community platform. So teachers are engaged in our courses, are sharing classroom activities, they're asking questions, they're talking to one another about how to implement digital technologies. So that's another way that we've used a tool to facilitate those conversations and the resource sharing. So we'd encourage you to jump in if you like, have a look at our courses, join our communities, and if you've got any questions around, well, how do you take digital technologies activities and make it purely online, we'd love to be there to be able to support you through that process.
Fantastic, and having that support is so important. Thanks so much, Beck. We look forward to seeing you online. I'm sure we'll get lots of comments. We'd love to hear from people. We'll pop these contact details in the chat and on the screen as well, and we look forward to catching up with you more online and seeing you online as this continues. So thanks, Beck.
Thanks so much. Lovely to chat to you.